Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. It's about 37 days to the conduct of the 2023 general election. So get this is in readiness to vote in the elections. Today on the program, state governors summoned CBN Governor Emefiele over new Naira notes and cash withdrawal limits as ATMs are yet to dispense new notes with the January 31st deadline approaching. I've been hanging out with Olabisi Deji Folutile and Dotun Oladipo. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. Let's begin with politics and the fear over the conduct of the 2023 elections. The United Nations and the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, have warned Nigeria against violence during the 2023 general election, while the UN cautioned that if things go wrong, there will be serious consequences for the peace and stability of the entire region. ECOWAS said no other country in the sub-region could accommodate Nigeria refugees in case of outbreak of violence. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakub, has assured Nigerians and other international community that the elections would hold despite various attacks on the commission's facilities across the country. Dotun, this warning is very timely, and this warning, 200 million people, all our neighbors, Ghana, one government to another, handing over to the opposition.
Yeah. So I don't see anything going wrong. What I see happening will be low turnout. That's what I see happening.
Low turnout?
Yes. INEC has told us we have 93.4 million people who are registered. With the way things are going, especially in the southeast, the northwest.
That's why the war going on online.
Yes, and the northeast. I'm not convinced that we are going to get maybe more than 20% voter turnout.
Wow.
Even today, you saw what happened in a video in the southeast. A man putting on the vest of one person we consider to be their own, Peter Obi, made to lie down and was threatened with a PVC, where had to run away in the last 1 week in about 2 or 3 places by people saying there won't be election, even when their own is going to vote. I mean, it's on the ballot. We have seen it also in the North Central. Niger State coming under attack. In the Northwest, things are still happening in Kaduna. And the usual, as we know, in the Southwest, it's something is definitely going to happen in some parts of Lagos. It's going to happen in some part of Oyo. It's going to happen in some part of Ondo and Ekiti. So it's, for me, I don't see anything that will likely affect the outcome, because it's now a matter of who wins the majority from even the few that will come and vote. It's not so much as if there is no if you don't have up to 20% of voters, the election will be nullified. No. So that's what I see happening. People staying back home and allowing those who have the courage to go out to vote.
Do you support Dotun's optimism?
And also, there is enough reason also for the UN and ECOWAS to actually make the call that they made some hours or a few days ago. You see, like we have rightly put it, if anything happens to Nigeria, our neighboring countries will be in trouble. And there is, to an extent, I agree that this election will hold. I don't have any doubts within me that it's going to hold, But I'm also not, I cannot say that it's going to be completely violence-free. That I cannot say.
Guarantee.
I can't guarantee that. If I want to look at what has been happening in the past, yes, with BVAs, we may say that issues of snatching of ballot boxes may reduce. Yeah, because well, if we actually make use of the BVAs and we are sure that this is going to be electronic in a way, and snatching ballot boxes may not actually do any good for any politician, maybe we may not record much of that. But I also think that we could still witness cases where some people can scare even the few voters that we are talking about, can scare them away and prevent them from voting. And I'm envisaging that apart from places where there is insecurity now, where we are having problems, there could also be cases of politicians that are weak in certain places, also instigating violence in order to cause that election to be postponed in that particular locality, because we know that if there is violence, election will be postponed. At least INEC has told us that. So I know that a few of this could happen, but I did this. Look at INEC, for example. In 4 years, 50 facilities have been burnt. They've had 50 attacks in 4 years. In 4 years.
Over 50 now.
Over 50 now.
Because that was before the last
before the
2, 3 or 4
days.
attacks.
So you can imagine, within 4 years, you have that level of attacks on facilities. What are we looking for? What are we buying? What are we selling? So we cannot really be too optimistic. I really wish I could share Dotun's optimism 100%. But
why upset so?
But is it not what she has just raised now? Kind of shameful that we want to have our election and it's as if we are preparing for another world war.
It's always been like that.
Why must it be like that? We don't even have, the examples we have. I've covered election in Ghana, Senegal, Mali, I've gone several other African countries. It's not always even like this.
Yeah, it's not always like that, but that's the culture we have built. That's the culture we have built. The culture of, as I was driving here this evening, I was stopped somewhere and 2 gentlemen in last operatives, they asked me, who is going to win the election? And I said, it's not even so much about who is going to win the election. It's about who is going to set the country on the right path. So, a lot of people have lost hope in the country. What they are doing now is not to live by what is right, but by what can bring food to their table. That's because I don't see anybody who still has some modicum of hope carrying guns around, threatening to kill people when you know you can also be attacked. It shows somebody who has lost it completely.
It's desperate.
I know who has no hope at all. And that is where, that is what is causing all of this violence. But in terms of what the ECOWAS and UN are raising, that the election will not hold and there is going to be trouble, that's what I say I don't see happening. Because in the last few weeks, we've also seen the build-up. The Chief of Defense Staff, who is the highest ranking military officer, has spoken. They are meeting, that's the Armed Forces of Nigeria, the Nigeria Police, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense, all of them at every level, customs, road safety. So the only fear, which I've also expressed on this program, is that at the point where we are going to have those elections, the deployments we are going to have will weaken the areas where we are having challenges. That is largely the Northeast and Northwest. where you have the bandits and the terrorists. For those 2 weeks, we are likely to have, but in terms of some people stopping the election, I don't see that happening. I don't, really. Not now, in the last 2 weeks, the army, some people graduated from the schools. They have been deployed. In the police, some have also graduated. In all the colleges around the country, they have been deployed. Also, recruitment going on here and there. So it's like what we have been clamoring for there to be, as security agencies to have more numbers. We are getting it now. And we are getting it at a right time. When we need them now, that's when we are getting them. And that's why I said, for me, I don't see any major thing that can lead to us having the kind of disruption being talked about here, for us to start spilling into other countries. Natural spilling is happening. I was at the international airport yesterday, and I took, in my own estimation, somebody I believe had a future in the country to the airport to travel out. So if at that level people are living, then you can know the desperation at the lower level. So that for me will keep happening. There is nothing we can do about that. But for there to be a war of something that can now, except like our late General Sonny Abacha said, the government on its own decides to do anything in that regard. I don't see that happening.
At the end of the day, all what we want is security and each free exercise. Nigerians are really interested in participating
in this election. And the good news also is that INEC chairman has also assured us that this election is going to hold. It has also told us that in spite of the attacks on its facilities, it's able to replace materials, is able to rebuild facilities, and that it is protecting some of the machines, and it's even trying them and prepared for
runoff election.
Apart from runoff, it's even trying to do a kind of pre-election to try the BVA machines.
The beavers.
Yes, the beavers, to be sure that it's going to work. So, fine. At least he's not telling us that he's not exercising any form of fear. So that is good from his own part. And I think, but at the same time, we should also now be talking about the integrity of this election. You know, we may have an election, but how do we ensure that this election, the integrity will be superb? Because we know that all over the world, people still try to do whatever they can.
That's the job of INEC.
So I think it would be nice to also have a large turnout of voters.
Yeah.
It would be nice, because if 20% of the population turn out to elect our leaders, what can we say about the integrity of that election? So it's not about election holding now.
The turnout might determine
it's about that election. Yes. It's about the election being legitimate, integrity, huge, and all of that. So I think the security operatives now should INEC facilities now in maybe hostile areas. It is not everywhere that is actually hostile. But is it possible for us to identify the places that are violent prone and now do something about protecting facilities and all of that?
If you look at what happened in Ogun State, we won't say that area is hostile in a way when we think about it. So I think what is happening
65,000 beavers.
Yes, it's just like what is happening in the war zones, where people take advantage of what they call soft targets. They say, okay, this place is free. Let's attack.
So we don't really know where.
Yes, so even if in Lagos you give room, the good news about Lagos is when you look at, especially the headquarters, it's just beside the barracks in Yabade. So whoever is going to go there must have enough courage.
Yes. Very close to...
Very close to Ansbach. So it's there. The same thing when you go to Ojo.
Lagos,
so when you move around, you see that Lagos, in a way, is solid. That's why it's going to be tough to have a thing like that. But in other places, is it Oyo State you are going to talk about when you go to the far-flung areas of Okeogun and Osun? So it's, for me, it's just for us as Nigerians to have conscience and know that whether we like it or not, even if we get dual citizenship, this is still a country of origin.
Yeah.
And we need to understand that very quickly. I've always told people, see, if they told all of us in good conscience and say, be sincere, go and vote. Who you know, not who has given me money.
Exactly.
We'll get the right people in. And that is what we need. Yeah. Because if we don't get it, we are still going to be in this situation.
Thank you for joining us.
I think he's still there.
Hello?
Hello, good evening, Ayodele.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Chidi.
the members of the four estates of the realm.
Thank you.
Good evening.
I thank you so very much for your optimism concerning the forthcoming general election. But in my own take, as far as this very issue is on board, I want to appeal to the Nigerian government in particular, all Nigeria's security agencies, and every other stakeholder, so that let everybody put all our hands in synergy to ensure that insecurity is fought to a halt. The only problem that Nigerians are going to face in a very drastic measure as far as this coming election is concerned is insecurity. And the enemies of Nigeria are not those outside. They are right here with us in Nigeria, in every nook and in every cranny. Therefore, we should not sleep over it. The Nigerian government should wake up at this point in time to ensure that the insecurity is properly addressed. So
Okay. Thank you, Chidi. Thank you.
That's what I said. We are just everywhere, waiting to take advantage of any situation. You know?
At the end of the day, also, it's 37 days.
Honestly.
Counting down, and that presidential election slated for the 25th of February.
Everything will be fine.
National Assembly, the National Assembly, and both Senate.
We will overcome this also. These two shall pass. These two shall pass.
It's not meant to be like that. In Ghana, anytime there's election, they go to their workplace. When they are coming back from their workplace, they vote.
You know, in our own case, we even declare holiday.
There was one very big market I went to in Accra. There was a big market today. Everybody they were doing their things, buying and selling,
voting,
and they were voting. One hand, it's not.
Then they were voting. Even in Liberia, in the thick of that war, that Nigeria coordinated, they voted. Yes. And we saw it. In the counties, they came out, killed, and it was orderly. No problem at all.
All right, moving on now. Every election cycle in Nigeria is dogged by spits of violence and thuggery. So there's always appreciation at this kind of apprehension at the sign of anything that could disrupt peace. Conduct of the election. The area controller of the airport command of the Nigeria Customs Service, Sambo Danga Ladima, has confirmed the seizure of baggage consisting 162 cartons of banned Tramadol, as well as military and police hardware. The items were intercepted at the Skyway Aviation Handling Company. The controller said the drugs originated from India and Pakistan and were brought into the country through Addis Ababa in Ethiopia to Lagos with an estimated duty paid value of 13.8 billion naira. This is huge. Wow. 13.8 billion naira. They must have a very big market here to bring in Tramadol. And
well, apart from the market, what about the man who has 13-point-something billion to ship this in? I think those are the people we should be looking for.
Not, this is just the tax. So.
Yes, on it.
The cost of buying the drugs.
Yes, it's not there.
It's not there.
For somebody to be able to pay this,
to
clear this.
But I think you made a valid point, in that how much is that person expecting to make from this? Because if you could put 13.8 billion naira as duty on products, then definitely there must be something in it. And I think this tells us the rates at which Nigerians are using these hard drugs. It means it's a very huge market.
We're in trouble.
It's a huge market. You see, like a friend of mine was telling me the other time, that have I ever noticed, and I started noticing when she said it, that just when you are going along the street, just watch. You will see one or two young people that will just be talking to themselves. And I started noticing. I was, in fact, there was a time I was on this Palm Grove, Maryland, that road, Western.
Road.
Yes, the Ikorodu Road. I wasn't the one driving, so I was also looking to see the youths walking around, and I saw one particular one stood before a statue, and he was just talking to that thing. And I saw people passing by, they were just looking at him as if it is normal. You know, before, when you see somebody talking to himself, you'll be worried. You'll be concerned.
You will gather around him.
In fact, you will call people down. It's like something is happening to this fellow. But now, it's happening. And youths are dying. I think a lot of people are disillusioned. The youth, they take these drugs. They take them like mad. So, but it's a function, is the implication. Something has happened. What we are seeing is just the results of something that happened. So we need to look at the problem. You see, they are not just taking the drugs like that. They are not just turning to drugs, but they are turning to drugs for something.
Dr. I think the parents are busy running after money on livelihood. Right now, it's difficult to get the full attention that we used to get those days from our parents. The cost of survival in Nigeria.
Maybe the cost of survival, but then, despite the fact that some of these things come cheap, like Madam said, for those who can't even eat, it's costly. Look at the case at the Federal Government College in Idianiki. Secondary school students jumping the fence to go into hotels to have sex and to take drugs. For you to be able to put your what? Or the way we put it, your children in a boarding school, responsibilities to their children. It's also about the kind of society we have developed, where even adults are careless with what they do. And like you have, okay, look at the intro to this. These things have been coming in more in the last 1 year. Elections are coming.
NDLA,
people need to get seizure. Yes, and number of convictions in the last 1 year. People need to get money together to run elections. They also need these arms and ammunition for the opposition. So it's getting to our children. For me, I see it as a
that were released, Mr. President ensured that they were put in the best school. And they are under the ministry. From time to time, I visit them. These pictures you are seeing, it was during the COVID-19, where I reached out to Mr. President to support the mothers of victims of insurgency in Chibok. Mr. President graciously granted and approved the support for intervention to the parents. We took a lot of palliatives, medicines, doctors were there to attend to them. We also took for the women to be empowered.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
It's a new dawn for Nigeria. Oh, better days are coming. Better days that gives us hope and strength.
It's a new dawn in Nigeria. The firmament portents a bright future as the people of Nigeria move to vote a man whom they have come to trust. That man is Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. Vote Bola Tinubu as president of Nigeria. Vote Kashim Shettima as vice president. Vote APC.
Bring the smiles back to all Nigeria.
Thank you for staying with us. This arms and ammunition confiscated after the election would now be faced with fresh waves of insecurity.
How many do we know has gotten in without being detected? I'm not saying that, I'm not confirming anything, but we know that for every seizure made, there must have been some successes also by these people. Our security agents they are doing a good job. Especially now that they are doing full inspection. But can they discover everything? It's a no. So whatever they are able to do now, we should commend them and then hope that somewhere along the line, those who are bringing in these things and who are doing this evil to the country will begin to have everything. Because it's eating up the whole of the country. Eating it up. And if we are not careful, like you have said, after the election, when they are finished using this arms and ammunition for the election, then it's now going to be a season of armed robbery. And people being under pressure in their homes.
Ultimately, if you see the way they've stepped up their rates and the way they've been confiscating these drugs and everything, you know that we have a problem. If the volume they keep confiscating, you know that if they don't have the market here, there's no how they can be, that can be this lucrative.
I also think that we should commend the customs too, even for this. Yes, because
very well.
They are doing well. And I also, this is always a recurring decimal in our polity. Dotun, you remember when we were in Punch, that almost every time there will be election, we will always do a story on importation of arms.
Yes,
and
ammunition.
It's always like that. They just bring them in. Anytime there is any major election, you must have problems with arms and ammunition. The question is, we have asked ourselves, are we fighting war? Are we fighting war?
Those who have handled them have told us the
now look
there.
We are talking about these ones are bold enough to bring this through legal routes,
paying duties.
Yes. Now can we imagine how many things are coming in via the illegal routes?
The illegal ones.
So we don't even know
Cross
what
border.
Yes, we have them all around us now. But what happens to these ones that are arrested? We will be very much interested in these ones.
Rotimi is calling us from Oshobo, Osun State. Thank you for joining us, Rotimi. Hello, Rotimi.
Good evening.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Greetings to everybody here.
Good evening.
Thank you.
From my experience as a constructor, there is market for this drug, particularly Tramadol, because there are two categories of users. The first category are the construction workers on site, usually laborers, mason men, carpenters, that use this drug, especially Tramadol, to energize them, to give them energy, more power while doing this hard labor work. The second category are young people, especially students that use it to hurt themselves. I think that's the problem we have with those people. That those users, they don't know that it affects their psyche, their mental stability. But for the first category of users, they use it to energize them, to give them more. The problem we have with our law enforcement agents is that they must try as much as possible to track down the users within the second category. Because
Thank you.
But I think once something is illegal, there is really no point tracking one category and not tracking the other. Because like you said, students in secondary school, for instance, some of them are runners who want to energize themselves. But at the professional category, it's doping. So whichever way you look at it, whether you are using it to energize yourself, it's illegal. So there is no point sparing anybody. There are alternatives that these people can use to energize themselves. And doctors have told us the best medicine you can get is the food you eat. And then followed by the lifestyle that you also lead. Those are the two things.
So how do we now curb this menace?
That's what I'm thinking about too. How do we curb it? Because, for example, now Lagos State has a law that says that commercial drivers should not take alcohol while on duty, and they even ban sales of alcohol and all the rest in parks. But go to parks now, they are there.
Early in the morning.
Early in the morning. And even
they
this...
even sleep overnight.
It's
not just...
Yeah. And these drivers, you will see this driver, they call it Pelebe, what do they call it? Pelebe. And they will be taking it. Okay. If they get arrested, they say, okay, they will test them for drugs. And how many of them would they arrest? How many have been tested? How many have been prosecuted? So I think in the area of prosecution, maybe we have problem there, and that is probably why this thing is going on the way it is. For example, as I was explaining during the commercial, that I went to the cattle market to buy meat, and I saw these young people taking the drug openly, and there is nobody to even, when you are afraid of something, you even go and hide to take it. But when you do it openly, it shows that you are not afraid. You don't even think that anybody can arrest you or that you are doing anything that's... So I think it has so much got to the psyche of these people that they don't see any repercussion, any negative repercussion. Don't even talk about their health. Talk about the law. They don't even see them being arrested. They don't see themselves being prosecuted. So they think it's normal. And maybe because they also feel that in Nigeria you can get away with so many things. And maybe that is why they think it's unfortunately too, they are getting away with it. Maybe we should step up with the arrest and the prosecution. And if you ask me, I don't know, those who arrest them and those who will prosecute, are they also on Tramadol?
I think that's why I like what General Bubamarwa is doing in NDLEA. Go for those who are behind the importation. Because if you don't cut off the supply, the use will always be there. It's just a matter of high-level people who are producing these things, even in their homes, arrested.
All right. There is still fire on the mountain regarding the deadline day for withdrawal of old Naira notes from circulation by January 31st. As such, the 6 state governors have called for a virtual meeting with the central governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, to thrash out issues relating to the new Naira notes. The head of media and public affairs of the Nigerian Governors Forum, Secretariat Abdulaziz Bello Bakindo, said the agenda of the meeting is the economy and security implication of Naira redesign and withdrawal policy. Hopefully, there will be a solution to the lingering issue. Where is Godwin Emefiele? He's back now.
He's in Nigeria.
Okay.
And at least we now know that nobody is going to arrest him. Okay. At least that's what the assurance we got by the statement the DSS, Department of State Services, used yesterday. Okay. That
we'll be able to concentrate.
Yeah, we'll be able to concentrate.
And lead this policy.
Yes.
Okay.
Like we've observed on this program, which we said in the past, some policies are fantastic. It is the implementation of this policy with people, who are always looking for how to put holes in all balloons. That is the problem. If indeed Central Bank of Nigeria put out 500 million pieces of notes.
500 million.
Let's even say all of them to 200.
No, we're told 500 billion.
Pieces. 500 million pieces. Why are we not saying it? Where is it? But this week I can report that I've seen those new notes in the ATM of Wema Bank. I've seen it in GTB, Access Bank.
Not Zenith.
United Bank for Africa.
I'm not saying it's Zenith.
No, it depends on the branch you go to.
That's what
Zenith
I also want to say.
So it depends on it now depends on the branch you go to. But what we have also learned, and which is so sad, is the fact that these notes are being sold, just like it happened with the old one.
How?
Yes. When you go to parties and you want the new notes, you are going to get it.
Oh,
they are being sold.
No, they are there.
It's there.
Yeah, they are.
About 3 months ago, for the old 200 naira, if you go to a party and you want a bundle, 20,000 naira, you get it at 27,000 naira in order to spray. So I also think our culture of placing higher value on new notes is a problem to us, especially in the Southwest, where we do a lot of Owambe. It's a problem to us because if you are holding a $100 note, whether new or old, even if it's Naira, it's still the same value. But we have this queer sense of making capital out of everything. Beyond that is the fact that CBN is bent on doing this. Some people have asked, is it out of vengeance or something, in order to reduce spending during the election. So, if you are going to bribe or you are going to give tip for somebody to vote for you, it means you are left with one option, transferring money. And most Nigerians deal in cash. And that's where it is now. But in terms of it being available now, it's still not readily available. It's still not.
At the end of the day, they'll be forced to shift this 31st.
Let me even respond.
That's an assumption.
Let me even respond to Dotun's assumption that politicians won't even have the new notes. They will. In fact, the ones that is already released, where are they? Where is that money? If it is true that CBN released 500 million notes,
that's the point I'm making.
In fact, that one that is
it should be some hands. I think it should be 500 billion, not million.
What?
Pieces.
Okay.
So of different denominations.
1,000.
Okay.
So there must be some people's hands now. I know that there are some people that won't even have old notes again. So at the end of the day, let CBN not just punish ordinary Nigerians. That is I'm pleading with them not to punish ordinary Nigerians because this is very serious. Somebody paid me with old notes on Sunday, and I was scared because I don't know what I'm going to do with the old notes. I don't know when I'll be able to go to the bank. I need to spend money. I need cash. At the same time, this is old notes that I don't know when.
But you are better off than people who have new notes because market people are rejecting the new notes.
No, you
don't
see,
understand.
That's the logic.
That's even another problem.
They are rejecting it.
I went to bank, for example, on Sunday. The ATM, first bank that I went to, poured old notes for me. All the banks around me now, for now, they are injecting old notes. So, and today is 18th of January.
Last 2 weeks.
Less than 2 weeks, really.
2 weeks. Really.
Okay, 2 weeks.
Yes.
Now, and so how are we sure that this is going to work? The point is this. If CBN thinks that it's doing this because of use of money to bribe during elections and all of that, then it should also ensure that it releases enough money for people to be able to spend. I mean, enough new notes.
Okay.
So if you cannot do that, then...
We have Dr. Briggs from Port Harcourt.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I just wanted to comment on the last topic of drugs.
Go ahead.
Where drugs, that the users are not really arrested. Because something like the Indian hemp is taken on the streets. Where I live, just opposite me, they smoke it as cigarettes, and nobody arrests them.
That's true.
What the lady was talking about, and I tend to agree with that.
All right. Thank you for your contribution, Dr. Briggs. We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. Don't go away.
Who go do one for us? Yeah, so people of Nigeria, they jolly for the better when one shell for we country. So as they ready to vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as the next president of Nigeria, I him get the experience where he go fit use take make our country better. People of Nigeria, for this and many other better things when in don't vocalize, it good make we all vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu for president of Nigeria. Kashif Shettima as vice president. Vote APC. You with me though.
We are seeing renewed investor confidence with the successful privatization of the Afam power plants, the Yola Electricity Distribution Company, and the restructuring of the Aba Integrated Power Project. These three transactions signal a return to large investment and netted the federal government more than 130 billion naira through the National Council on Privatization and BPE.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
My brother, my sister, do you know that winning an election is not only about getting the majority vote? For that your candidate to be declared winner of the election, he or she must secure 25% of the vote in 2/3 of all states plus the FCT to be president, and 25% of the vote in 2/3 of all local governments of a state. This is constitutional, and every presidential candidate has had to pass this threshold. Even governors have had to make this mark to get elected in their states. We live in one country with different languages, religions, and ethnic groups. This is why it is not enough to have only northern votes, or southern votes, or eastern votes, or western votes. The only way to get elected as president or governor is by gaining enough support across the country and states. Let us make sure that we know now so that we don't cause an issue tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office.
That will still stand. Withdrawal limits for corporate and individual.
That has taken effect. In fact, I was in, no, that one has started already. I think there is a limit to what you can. Is it 100,000 now?
Yeah, in a week.
In a week. That one is still there. It has started. It started.
Anything more than that will attract.
2 weeks ago, yeah. So, but the problem now is this. We are having problems doing electronic transactions. You cannot withdraw from ATMs. You go to bank, you have limits to what you can get. So what is now the solution? What are we trying to achieve? How are we achieving it? Are we just trying to punish people? Are we just bringing up policies for policy's sake? Or are we, because these policies should be good
on paper.
Yes, if they are well implemented. But if you know that you are not implementing something, why do you bring them on board? Because I don't just understand all of these things. I don't.
But so some people will talk about the timeliness. That's few days to the election.
Yeah, that's why I spoke about the issue of people asking the question of if it's vendetta. And we spoke about that on this program. But when you look at it, like I once said here, in terms of technological savviness, Nigerians rate very high. Why is it that we are the ones developing the IT sector of other countries, and us, we are lagging behind? Because you hardly go outside of this country and find a POS machine not working, or except you don't have money on your card. It works. Even when you take our own cards outside, the dollar card, because it is MasterCard, it works once you have your money there.
But I think $70 per month.
Do you?
No. I'm even saying, aside from that, why is our own technology not working? Why is it always failing? You sign into your app, and then the thing is rolling. Like my daughter used to say when she was much younger, "It's yoli, that is yoli, it's yoli." The thing will just be rolling. There was a day I went somewhere on the island, one of the beaches, and wanted to occupy a cabana. Twice I was debited, and they didn't receive the alert. And I had to do a transfer.
I'm not ready. Sometimes it will take more than 24 hours before the thing will be reversed.
And the worst part of it,
this was not even reversed. I had to enter into the bank to go and
complain.
I had to go to the bank about 3 times in 1 week to go and complain. I went somewhere else to buy cake for someone's birthday. The money was deducted. There was no delivery.
Look at the lady.
It was not reversed.
She lost 4 million naira.
That's what I even want to say. Another thing now is that if you use that what do they call that one that they use? You give them your card, they give you money. It's still POS. That one now, do you know that if you use it once or twice, the likelihood that your account will be hacked is very high.
Very high.
Now, if you go to bank, there are lots of complaints. Unfortunately, the bank will just tell them that there is nothing they can do. That is the problem that they too have noticed now. That if you have
go to court.
Even if you go to court, you will lose now, because they will tell you that you must have dropped your PIN
or your details somewhere.
Or your details, and that once you have done that, there is nothing they can do about it. So they are not secured. Even your MasterCard. I heard the bank official telling the person that came to complain that that's the problem they've been noticing with the MasterCard. That is good now, it's better now to do VAV. Can you imagine that? So something that is supposed to be good for us. No. Can you imagine?
So it seems we are not ready. In terms of that, sometimes you'll be trying to send money, or you want to transfer money, network, everything.
And it's really working against us. I think that's even the first issue we should attend to. Get the technology right. Once we get it right, and I'm sure I get to a filling station, I get to eatery, I know it's a done deal. It's not going to fail. Why do I need cash? Because even buy when you want to give tips now, you can give it on the app.
Yeah.
You can give it.
We have Ayodele from Ikorodu.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You see, this what you call this withdrawal capitalist or something. It's a calamity. You understand me? It's a calamity. This is a sinister motive There's some motive. Because if not, how can the poor people, what do they want the poor people to do? If you go to the, what is it called, the bank, you will not get the new note. You go anywhere, you cannot get the new note. If you have the new note, they will not take it. And they said this thing is whether on 29 or 30 of this month, and today is 18. What are we? Where are we going in this Nigeria? We see enemy of this country. We put in a time of affair. Enemy of this country.
Thank you, Ayo. Thank you. Ayo,
the man is angry. But that's the truth, because at some point, which we have noticed, especially as it happens during strikes and elections, without your cash, you can't buy it. So that's the preparation.
I want to thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
Olabisi Deji Fodutle, thank you for your contribution. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. Join us this Sunday for Journalist Hangout on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Zubaku. See you tomorrow.
TVC News first with breaking news.
We cover the big political stories in Nigeria, but people want more than just politics.
Business news, sports naturally, but you need news to live by also.
Stories about education, health, personal finance, and hey, even lifestyle news.
Newspaper reviews,
live.
Start your day with us every weekday.
TVC News Breakfast. First, fast, balanced, and accurate.
TV's first with breaking news.
It's not your regular show. It's an online interactive session where we share my views on the everyday issues that cut across politics, security, health, current affairs, governance, and so much more. I am passionate about our country. I choose to support any conversation geared towards building a better Nigeria. I am Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Join me every Saturday on TVC News YouTube channel as I discuss Nigeria and the world at large on the show Issues with Jide.
There is always more to a story than the scribbling line. The part of a